Hi, and welcome to this Leverage Technologies overview of SAP Business One 9.1. This overview is intended for customers and prospective customers who want to see some of the great new functions and features available in version 9.1. It's a fairly high-level overview, so we've taken 10 or so of what we consider to be the top 10 functions that will be mostly used under 9.1 and just give a brief overview of those. If you want to have a more detailed view of any of these new functions and features, please go to the Leverage Tech website. There are a number of blogs, or to the Leverage Tech YouTube page. There are a number of videos which drill down into greater detail on each of these functional areas. So if, for example, you're interested in the new resource management module or resource planning module under production, we'll do a brief overview of it in this presentation, but there's a much more detailed blog and YouTube video available on the Leverage Tech website and the Leverage Tech YouTube channel. So let's go in. As I said, we've chosen probably 10 or so enhancements that we think will really be of value to our customers. Production enhancements. In SAP Business One, there is a new resource planning module. This resource planning module is intended to be rough cut capacity planning, effectively. So what it allows you to do is now define in the bill of materials the resources which are required to manufacture an item. So those resources could be machines with their capacity, for example, could be labor or other. What then happens is we run through some resource planning that we'll show you in a minute, and effectively we can then identify bottlenecks. Along with this, there are then bill of materials updates inside SAP Business One, which allows you to do things like simple routing on the bill of materials. We'll show you that in a minute. And also production order updates. There are also enhancements on MRP, and you can now cater for byproducts in the bill of materials. So if I manufacture an item and I usually get this particular byproduct, I can now have that available inside the bill of materials. So let's go into SAP Business One. And let's have a look at that. What we can see on the main menu here is that the resource module is now available. And inside that I have resource master data, resource capacity, and the ability to set internal capacities. So let's just go in and have a look at the resource master data. We'll look at a packaging machine. And I can see in terms of the planning data, the availability by day of that machine. So what's my daily capacity? Now, the reason we need to put the daily capacity in is that SAP Business One under 9.1 is going to consider that capacity in terms of the manufacturing to identify any potential bottlenecks for us. And that will be done by going to the resource capacity screen. And here I can see for the packaging machine, the available and the internal time. I haven't yet committed any time to it, so I'm just at the early planning stage and I'm seeing how many hours that machine is available for each day. So effectively inside the resource planning, I set up my machine times, my labor times, my other times. I then include those in the bill of materials, and what I can then look at is my capacity constraints so that I can either reschedule production where I have constraints, or I can try upskill the internal capacities by including additional capacity potentially. On the back of that, there are obviously some changes to the bill of materials. So let's just go in and have a look at a bill of materials. I can now see that in the bill of materials, I have the ability to have the resources in the BOM. So here, for example, packaging machine and labor packaging on site are included in that bill of materials. I can also do things like on the right-hand side, I can highlight an item and I can move it around on the bill of materials. This allows me then to group particular resource and item elements together and then put some text underneath that in terms of some basic routing planning. So here I've got bicycle frame, bicycle wheel together as part of that basic routing, I suppose. And then underneath it says, please make sure bike wheels are fitted correctly. So I'm starting to group the elements together as a basic route. Let's update that bill of materials. I can also, as I said earlier on the bill of materials, I can now have byproducts and another enhancement on MRP. As I go into the MRP, what I will see, let's just quickly get to that screen. I can see on the documents data source, I have a number of additional document data sources on 9.1 versus version 9. So again, just giving additional enhancements, additional data sources to the users who are going to use the MRP. So in terms of the production enhancements in 9.1, there are a number of them there, and they are quite substantial to assist us with the production planning, the byproducts, and the MRP. Inventory costing on SAP Business One updated to track cost per batch or serial number. So the capturing of actual costs. So if I were to go into, for example, let's just go into our SAP Business One system. Let's go into an inventory item. And now I can see that in terms of the item here, let's say I monitor this one by batch, for example, then on the inventory valuation method, I traditionally had moving average, standard, and FIFO. Now I have a new valuation method, which is serial or batch. So very useful, for example, in batches if you're manufacturing food and you want to know the actual cost of that batch of biscuits that you manufactured, or actual cost of serial numbers if maybe you're an IT reseller or something like that. So actual costing by serial number or batch now enabled in SAP Business One version 9.1. Okay. Multiple branches, this is not intended to replace the intercompany module in SAP Business One. Multiple branches is more if you, for example, have a company with multiple branches in each state and you want to run them in one company database, but you want to be able to work across the branches. So in some elements, I want to restrict some elements like business partners just to one branch. I want to be able to report on branch, so P&L by branch. So here you have the best of both worlds. You're inside a single company database, but you've set up multiple branches. That way you can have certain restrictions for branches, and you can share information. You can do a P&L by branch, for example. Email enhancements in SAP Business One. The ability to do things like automatically create and send a PDF when adding a document. So if you want to reduce paper usage in the office, I create the AR invoice and it automatically PDFs and sends that AR invoice. I can choose now between SBO Mailer and MS Outlook. So again, I've got some choices in SAP Business One where I can choose the default email method to be Mailer or Outlook. And I can assign distribution lists as well. So again, some nice, just great little usability enhancements in SAP 9.1. Inventory weight management, I can now, I've got quite a few enhancements here. Some of them are around conversion rules and units of measure, but I can also do things now if I've got bin locations in SAP Business One, which, as you may remember, came in version 9. I can now allocate bin location weights. So for example, in that instance there, the situation might be that a bin location which is on racking can only take a certain weight of items. Then what I can now do is I can start to, in terms of my SAP Business One system, I can actually allocate the, if I go into the system, I can start to allocate the bin locations. Let's just go have a quick look at that. Let's enable bin locations and let's go in, and I can now see that I can, for example, there receive up to maximum weight in that bin location. So once the maximum rate is reached, do not allocate any more to that bin location because there is a weight restriction on it. So a couple of enhancements there in terms of the weight side of things. I can also see, for example, if I go into an inventory item, let's just go into some demo data we've created. And I can see here, unit of measure is bag, weight is 100 grams. So again, a couple of enhancements around the weight of the items and how that interfaces with units of measure to make our life a bit easier there. Okay, let's go in and now we'll have a look at the user interface editing. So one of the great things in version 9.1 is I can very quickly and easily, if I've got administrator rights, I can start to change the screen layout and I can add user-defined fields to the screen layout, or I could hide entire tabs if I'm not going to use them, so just get them off the screen layout altogether. So as I go into SAP Business One, let's look at a typical piece of master data. Let's go into Earthshaker Corporation in my demo data. I can see some user-defined fields on the right-hand side here, insurance, industry, industry group, etc. Let's just go Tools. I can see something that's new under Tools, Edit Form UI under version 9.1. Click on that. I now see that the business partner master data form is in UI edit mode. Now I can do things, for example, I can start to drag fields around. So let's take the region field and let's drag it over here on the right-hand side. Let's take field sales and let's disable that field. Let's take the account manager field and drag it down over here. And I can also, if I want, drag on my user-defined fields as well. I could take certain tabs and just get rid of those tabs altogether. So nice, easy mechanism to change the layout of the form to suit my business and to add user-defined fields to the main form as well. I'm going to now restore the default for my demo data and leave UI edit mode. So back to the standard form. So with that ability in SAP Business One, again, just making it that much easier to change the UI interface. MS Excel integration, very nice if you want to, for example, create in Excel a journal entry and import that directly into SAP. Very useful for the accountants, or alternatively export to Excel. So let's have a quick look at this in practice. A couple of things here. First of all, let's just go into a sales order I created earlier today. I can now right click and I can maximize or restore the grid. New function in 9.1. Now what I might do is I might just go right click, copy table. Then what I can do is I can go into Excel, for example. Let's just tab to Excel. And now what I might do is paste that into Excel. So I can see that I've now pasted it directly from SAP Business One. Now I can use typical functionality in Excel like find, etc. But let's just replace that pricing on the first line. Let's then just copy that first line. Let's now go back into SAP Business One and let's update that pricing. And we can see it's updated. So what we saw there, brief quick example, exported to MS Excel, made the change and imported it back into SAP Business One at that level. Okay, let's save the changes and away we go. So again, a nice usability feature in 9.1. Hard business functions. I now have the ability in SAP Business One to hard functions from the user interface. So if someone is not going to use the payment wizard, let's hide it on the user interface, or serial numbers and batches, or production, etc. Again, just have a nice clean user interface and make SAP Business One that much easier for the user to get around, to navigate and to use. Pick and Pack Manager, so some enhancements in the Pick and Pack Manager where we can, over and above the traditional manage by sales orders and reserve invoices, I can now manage by production orders and inventory transfer requests. So again, taking the standard SAP Business One functionality and enhancing it further to incorporate some of those additional functions and features that can be very, very useful for us. So just to show you that very briefly, as I go into the Pick and Pack Manager in SAP Business One, I now have managed by sales orders, reserve invoices, production orders, inventory transfer requests, additional features available for me at that level. So from an SAP perspective at this point in time, those are some of the great new functions and features I wanted to show you. There are a number of other functions and features which are available in SAP Business One. I've just highlighted 9 or 10. Now I know it was 9 slides, but it was 10 features because I actually included MRP and production as 2 separate features. But again, if you want more detailed information on any of those, please feel free to go to the Leverage Tech website where there are some blogs, or the Leverage Tech YouTube channel. Or alternatively, you can get in touch with us through our website at leveragetech.com.au, and I have a number of much more detailed presentations, not just on these 9 or 10 functions and features here, but on a number of others that are also available under SAP Business One 9.1. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and please don't forget, lots more information is available on our website at leveragetech.com.au. Thanks for joining us.